Good evening, bringing you the latest developments in what could become the biggest economic showdown in North American history. Markets are responding negatively as we await President Trump's crucial tariff decision that could reshape trade with Mexico and Canada. The stakes are high as Trump moves forward with planned 25% tariffs, prompting Mexico to consider what analysts call a nuclear option in trade relations. Mexican President López Obrador's administration has prepared a strategic response that could severely impact U.S. manufacturing and energy sectors. Mexico threatens to cut off vital oil and energy flows to the United States and impose restrictions on automotive parts exports, potentially halting U.S. auto manufacturing. President Sheinbaum's recent press conference revealed Mexico's approach, maintaining diplomacy while preparing severe countermeasures if necessary. This mirrors actions by Canada and China, who have taken retaliatory steps against U.S. trade policies. The situation threatens the United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement, USMCA. Experts warn these tensions could undermine North American free trade, dismantling decades of economic integration. American manufacturers worry about supply chain disruptions. The automotive sector faces potential part shortages and cost increases, which would affect American consumers and trigger economic ripple effects. Mexico's advantage lies in its control over crucial energy resources and automotive supply chains. Mexico isn't just playing defense, they're showing they have serious leverage, noted one trade analyst. With global markets on edge, these tariffs could cause unprecedented disruption in North American trade relations, affecting everything from daily commutes to energy prices. Stay tuned for live updates as this high-stakes economic confrontation unfolds. Trade tensions escalate as the economic balance between the United States and Mexico hangs in balance, with billions in cross-border commerce at stake. Our investigation reveals the complex interdependence making this situation volatile for American manufacturers and consumers. The United States relies heavily on Mexican crude oil, with pipelines along the border facilitating energy trade. The automotive sector is deeply integrated, with hundreds of trucks daily transporting parts across the border, utilizing Mexico's competitive labor costs. President Claudia Sheinbaum's response during her March 4th press conference signals a diplomatic approach. Rather than retaliating against new U.S. tariffs, she's chosen strategic patience. Sources suggest Mexico holds significant leverage, with potential to disrupt supply chains that American manufacturers depend on. Mexico is effectively the manufacturing backyard of the United States, explains Dr. Robert Martinez, trade economist at Georgetown University. Any disruption could send shockwaves through the American industrial sector. The situation reaches a critical point with an upcoming phone call between Sheinbaum and President Trump on March 6th. This conversation follows a month of diplomatic engagement that failed to prevent tariff implementation. While Sheinbaum emphasizes Mexico's compliance with agreements, she's set a deadline. If the U.S. maintains its tariff position, Mexico will announce countermeasures at El Zocalo on March 9th. These could include cuts to energy supplies and automotive shipments, potentially triggering manufacturing disruptions across the United States. The economic implications are substantial. American manufacturers face further complications if Mexico implements reciprocal measures. The situation underscores the interdependence between both nations and consequences of disrupting trade patterns. Stay tuned for coverage of Thursday's presidential phone call. In a significant escalation of trade tensions, Mexico has taken a firm stance against U.S. tariff threats, showing readiness to implement countermeasures that could reshape North American economic relations. During recent United States-Mexico-Canada agreement negotiations, Mexican officials confirmed a comprehensive contingency plan for potential trade disruptions. The situation stems from President Trump's threat to impose a 25% tariff on Mexican goods, which Mexico denounces as economic blackmail. This adds complexity to already strained relations, previously focused on immigration and border disputes. While we depend on the U.S. market, American industries equally rely on our manufacturing, stated a Mexican trade official. According to documents, Mexico's Ministry of Commerce is considering targeted responses, including blacklisting U.S. companies and implementing tariffs on agricultural products and assembly components. A key leverage point lies in Mexico's energy sector. The country's PMX supplies significant oil to U.S. refineries. Officials indicate they could adjust these flows or implement measures impacting American fuel markets and inflation. President López Obrador has leveraged this situation domestically, with his defiant stance resonating with Mexican voters. His message that Mexican people will not be crushed has struck nationalist sentiments. Trump continues to rally support by arguing that Mexico has taken advantage of the U.S. Economic experts warn of a lose-lose scenario. The retaliatory measures could impact both economies, potentially disrupting automotive and electronics assembly plants. The threat to oil shipments particularly concerns U.S. energy markets, as finding alternative suppliers would be challenging. Both leaders face domestic pressures making compromise difficult. López Obrador must maintain a strong position for nationalist sentiment, while Trump needs to appear tough on trade. However, economic interconnectedness suggests a prolonged dispute would damage both economies, affecting workers, manufacturers, and consumers on both sides. Good evening. I'm John Mitchell with breaking news on the escalating trade tensions between the United States and Mexico. Tonight, we're looking at what could become the biggest trade showdown in North American history. Mexican officials have warned of significant retaliatory measures if the Trump administration proceeds with its proposed tariffs. Mexico is now exploring the possibility of forming a united front with Canada and China against U.S. trade policies. Our sources indicate that President López Obrador's administration is prepared to accept short-term economic pain to demonstrate its resolve. China has announced a 15% tariff on U.S. products starting March 10th, and Canada is considering restrictions on American brands, including Tesla. The stakes are particularly high in the energy sector. If Mexico restricts oil exports or raises prices, Texas refineries could face serious supply challenges. While the U.S. has substantial shale oil production, Mexican crude remains critical for many American refineries. Industry analysts warn that any disruption could send fuel prices soaring. This situation creates a complex political challenge for President Trump. While maintaining his America First stance on tariffs, he faces pressure from farmers, industrialists, and voters concerned about rising costs. Mexican President López Obrador suggests that Trump's policies are hurting his own voter base. However, Mexico's strategy isn't without risks. With the U.S. being Mexico's largest export market, any retaliatory measures could be economically self-destructive. Yet, some analysts view this as a calculated move to force Trump to make concessions. Both nations now face a critical decision point. Experts suggest that a compromise might emerge, with Trump potentially narrowing tariffs or granting exemptions for automotive parts, while Mexico could ease tensions by maintaining current oil production levels. As this situation develops, the economic implications for both nations hang in the balance. Back to you in the studio. Breaking news: trade tensions reach critical point as Mexico takes bold stand. In a dramatic escalation of trade tensions, Mexico has made a decisive move that's catching the attention of economic experts and political analysts across North America. Mexico has threatened to deploy their economic weapon if President Trump proceeds with his tariff threats. This isn't typical diplomatic posturing. Mexico is considering leveraging its crucial oil and automotive sector positions, which has U.S. trade officials concerned. Mexico isn't just another trading partner. They're deeply embedded in American production chains, from car parts to daily groceries, making this situation particularly delicate. Trump's administration has responded with characteristic firmness, saying, "Nobody gives us ultimatums." We're seeing mutual stubbornness from both sides, creating a classic trade war standoff. History shows trade wars typically end with everyone nursing their wounds. The stakes are high. Mexico appears ready to force America's hand by playing its oil and automotive cards, two aces that could seriously impact U.S. manufacturing and consumer prices. The big question: will Trump blink first? Both nations now stand with their economic weapons drawn, like gunslingers at high noon. This confrontation threatens to reshape North American free trade as we know it. The ripple effects could impact everything from grocery bills to vehicle prices. What's your take on this situation? Is Mexico's tough stance just a negotiating tactic, or are they really prepared to go all in? How should the U.S. respond to these potential retaliatory measures? Stay tuned for more updates as this situation develops. This is your trusted source for political and economic news. Signing off until next time.